In this video, we will talk about how to properly enter dataset into many statistical software. And statistical softwares are widely available, such as SPSS, datasets, R, and many statistical software require a similar way of entering dataset. And we will talk about that today. And this is a dataset from hell. If you are used to entering data in Excel spreadsheet, you may not feel strange when you look at data in this format. If that is the case, and you need special attention. And this is certainly a data from hell for statisticians. And a data set entered like this cannot be properly read into statistical software. And even if it's successfully read into the software, and you can't really perform much of statistical analysis. And this is the data set statisticians prefer as heaven. And this video, we will talk about difference between the two data formats. So I'll talk about 12 bullet points. And let's start with the first 4. And when you look at data from heaven, and you may notice this data format does not have any blank rows. So first, let's start getting rid of blank rows. Let's delete the first row, including many blanks, and also second, the third and fourth row, and fifth and sixth row, and also the last one. And we usually do not compute descriptive statistics directly into spreadsheet. So let's get rid of this average row. Once these blanks are excluded, and data set will look like this. And we will proceed editing further. So this data from hell does not have unique identifier. And you might think they do. They do have 1 to 10 under drag A and 1 to 10 under drag B, and these are not considered unique. So you need to differentiate this number 1 from this number 1 in drag A from this number 1 from drag B. So instead of having two sets of 1 through 10, and you want to use number from 1 to 20. And difference between the drag A and drag B, and you might create new row, new column called group. This new variable of group will indicate which one is drag A and which one is drag B. So drag B is coded 1 and drag A is coded 0. And next, and we need to give a name for each variable. So use the first row of data set in Excel as a variable names. So first column, and we give a name called ID, and second one is group, and third one is age, fourth gender, and fifth height, and sixth weight, and so on. And you want to give variable names short and easy to remember. And each variable name must be unique, so you can't really duplicate ID twice or age twice. And many statistical software do not differentiate uppercase from a lowercase, and therefore it's better practice and do not use same name with different letters. And number 7, encode categorical variables, and let's convert those to letters. So when you keep data entry as open, enter, and people might type male with uppercase or lowercase, or just M and just F, and uppercase of M and F, and so on. So in order to avoid this, it's better to predefine numerical coding for each category, such as 0 for male and 1 for female, and then use numeric numbers rather than using letters. Number 8, avoid mixing symbols with data. And if you have a height greater than 6 feet, don't mix the letter greater than and 6 and FT. And statistical software are sensitive for type of variables. once you enter letters, and you can no longer perform any arithmetic computation. So in this case, if you know it's greater than 6 feet and convert the best possible numeric number, I convert it to 72 inches. And it's always better to leave blank for missing data instead of using question mark or NA. Number 9, each variable should be in its own column. So instead of using ID called the control 1, control 2, experimental 1, and experiment 2, and let's put this into 2 columns and give unique ID for animal, and then also create identifier for group. And usually it's better if you predefine which one of control or experiment would be a reference category, and then call the reference into 0, and group you want to compare to reference, and you might code as 1. Number 10, all data for a project should be in one spreadsheet. Okay. And although if you are performing a large size clinical trials, and you might want to put baseline data different from follow-up data, and which is okay as long as you include a unique identifier so that you can merge those data set into one spreadsheet. And do not include any graph in the spreadsheet. Number 11, each patient should be entered on a single line or row. When you're used to using Excel, and you might sometimes create new sets of data including only a subset of data. In this case, we just cut and paste the male data and compute average only within a male. And you can't do that. And if you look at this one, and this line, okay, the line number 4 is containing ID number 4 and ID number 1, and you can't do that. Each row include only a single patient, and so you cannot really copy and paste subset of data into a blank space of Excel. However, when data are repeatedly collected over time, and within a patient, and it's recommended to have a patient day observation on a single line, and which might ease data management. So instead of creating one line, okay, so let's look at horizontal data entry, and this have one line per single patient, and although the systolic blood pressures are measured at 3 different time points, and in order to keep everything into one line, and we created a variable, 3 different variables. Systolic blood pressure 1, 2, and 3, and this way of data entry is not wrong, and although data management might get a little bit more complex. And longitudinal data entry, however, allowed to enter patient data into more than one line. So in this case, instead of having systolic blood pressure 1, 2, 3 as a different variables, and we combine everything under one big variable named the systolic blood pressure. And then you create time identifier. This is a date. So this is the date, and each blood pressures are measured. And so then, and we can differentiate systolic blood pressure, systolic blood pressure measured at a different time point. So this is recommended data format. And for yes and no questions, and better to use 0 as a reference category, and then 1 for a group you want to compare to a different category. And better to keep blank for missing data, unless you want to differentiate don't know from completely missing. In that case, and you may use 8 for don't know and 9 for complete missing, and so that in the analytical phase you can differentiate those two. And if you are allowed to have no mutually exclusive data, like ID number 1 and pain level is entered as a mild and also as a moderate, then you may want to create 3 different variables, and each contain binary category. But many situations, you do want to use mutually exclusive category. So if the patient pain level is moderate, which is 2, and you can't really enter severe, which is 3. So ID number 1 is pain level is 2, moderate. And ID number 2 and pain level is 3, which is severe. And ID number 3 and pain level is mild. So when you have one column for pain level, it does not allow to enter duplicate data. So this is a format I recommend if you have non-mutually exclusive data entry, and then this is a format and I recommend for mutually exclusive data entry. And when you use Excel, and which is not the best choice for data entry, and in fact, I prefer using Access or a database called RedCap. But those I will talk about some later point. But many people might want to use Excel for quick data entry. In that case, please be careful when you enter date into spreadsheet. When you enter date, and please make sure you format the date and decide which data format you are using for date. If you need to capture time, and you might create a different column for time, or there is a format it capture both date and time. Okay. And the last note, data confidentiality. And after you create the data, and data need to be stored in a secure locked place. And when the data set have a patient identifier, it's better to remove any identifier and then keep those in the separate secure place from the rest of research data. And make sure you create a backup frequently. And when you send your data to a statistician or other personnel in the research team, and make sure you remove those identifiers. And therefore, it is best practice to remove those identifiers from the beginning and put it in a separate location. And those identifiers may include any information can help you to identify patients, such as social security numbers, medical record numbers, and even actual date, birthday or date of admission, and date of procedures like surgery.